What is going on, everybody? As you can see, there's a new face here if you are in the group at this time, this round, so to speak. I invited one of my previous clients from, I think, 2.5-ish, give or take, years ago. Um, she came
That's
to,
a lot more than that.
yeah, fuck, maybe. We'll find out soon. But anyway, she came to me for the same reason that all of you watching this did. Anxiety, panic, all the same things, health issues. There's different things going on, but anxiety for the most part. What I'm gonna do is have her kind of explain what she's been like, who she is, what she's been through in the basics of it, what she's feeling now, and then the main strategies or tools, so to speak, that has helped her personally to get there. Now, with that said, I want to give the quickest backstory on this, the really quickest backstory, my addition. So, on a personal level, after we stopped working together, it was a few months later we became friends, and she was basically like the best man slash woman at my wedding. So that's cool, side note. But outside of that, what I thought was most incredible is that I didn't know about half the things that she had gone through that were like fucked up, so to speak, that people go through until way after we started working together. That's the only part that I wanted to put in here. So we don't really have to understand or know exactly what you've gone through in order for you to feel emotionally better with your life. That's all I'm going to say. So without further ado, Cherokee Davidson, take it away.
Awesome. So I'm Cherokee Davidson, obviously, because you said my name like 15 million times. So Tyler and I actually began working together in February of 2022. I remember very specifically. So that was over 3 years ago now. That's insane. So we've been best friends now for just about 3 years now. And I only worked with Tyler as a client for 2 weeks. And I really didn't need the full 2 weeks. I'm just being completely honest. But it just goes to show you like how fast it was for me. And when he said like he really didn't know a lot of like what I was going through, he didn't. I was very quiet about what I was struggling with because again, when I was working with him, I didn't really know him. He kind of just slid into my DMs and was like, "Hey, I see you're a trainer. Cool. What's up?" Right? And that was it. And I decided to hire him after watching his stuff on social media for a little bit. And I even asked him, I remember at our first meeting, I asked him, I was like, "Do you really like need to know like the stuff I'm going through because I'd rather not talk about it. I feel like you can help me without knowing." And he was like, "I absolutely can help you without knowing what you're going through. Let's do it." Right. And so I didn't tell him anything. I told him maybe like a couple of small things. It was like super general. I said, "I'm struggling with anxiety. I'm having panic attacks all the time. I can't do this. I'm running a 6-figure business. Like, I need to get this under control. Help me." And just a little background on like, I hate this word, but my diagnoses, the things that the medical world has decided to label me with. I am diagnosed with anxiety disorder. I'm diagnosed with PTSD. I was diagnosed with clinical depression. And so I came with all of this crap to Tyler and was like, "I don't believe in this stuff. I just need you to fix me." Right. So I was very open minded. And I think that that's a big part of coming into Tyler's coaching. And I'm pretty sure anybody who is Tyler's client will 100% know what I'm talking about when I say you need to come into it open minded and just be willing to absorb and to just take in everything that he tells you without questioning it. And I know that sounds really like huge leap of faith, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm just supposed to do what he says without questioning it. That seems kind of weird to me, right? But I did. I just told him, I was like, "Tell me what to do." We were talking about this earlier. I said, "Give me a checklist." I said, "Tell me to do this, this, and this, and I will do it. I won't think about it. I'm not gonna like wonder like, why am I doing this?" I just did it because I was so desperate at that point to get my crap together, for lack of a better phrase. Like I had a kid. I was running a 6-figure business. I was trying to keep my marriage afloat, right? I had just transitioned out of being active duty military. I think I had just gotten done competing in my first bodybuilding show. Like my life was in freaking sane. Um, and so I didn't have time to like be having these episodes of like anxiety and these I used to call them depression Sundays because it was like clockwork. Every Sunday, it's just like my body would just give up and I would go into full depression mode. And I remember telling Tyler this and I was like, this is obviously something mental because no one has like cyclical like every Sunday, there it is. Like you wake up and you're just depressed. Like that doesn't make sense, right? Or at least I didn't want it to make sense. I wanted something else to make sense. I wanted what Tyler told me was the fix to make sense. So I'm like, I'm just gonna like none of this makes sense. I want you to tell me what makes sense. And that's kind of how we started our journey. And I think that's a really big piece, in my personal opinion, why it was so effective and why it was so effective so quickly, because I just laid myself out, like not as in telling him all my trauma, but I was just fully willing to accept I this can go away and not be a part of me. I know he can fix it. Let's go. And if any of you have come into training with Tyler with reservations, feeling like you need to do things perfect or do things the right way, or any reservations as far as like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. If you're going into it guarded at all, it is going to be more difficult for you. And Tyler might not like that I'm saying that, because Tyler likes to preach, right? That it's quick, right? It's a quick fix, and it 100% can be, but you can't get fixed if you're not willing to fix yourself, right? If you're not wanting that fix because you've attached yourself to this label of depressed or anxious, right? Because it's serving you in some way. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but being anxious and depressed was serving me, right? And I had to let go of how it was serving me. It was serving me in the fact that every time I had this breakdown, my husband just came running to my aid because he loves me so much, right? So I was getting attention from my husband because of it. And again, I wasn't doing this consciously. I'm just rambling now, but it's okay. I'm on a roll. I wasn't doing this consciously. I was doing it subconsciously, right? My body was like, love my husband, need his love all of the time, 100%. Like he can't do anything else except love me, right? And it was just this weird thing that I taught myself from who knows what, right? That I was just like, I need 100% attention. I need him to prove that he loves me all of the time. And so my body was like, that's what all you need to do. All you need to do to get his attention is just need to flop around a little bit and be like, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, right? And again, I wasn't doing this consciously. It was just my brain subconsciously fixing my problem for me, because that's what our brains like to do. Our brains are like, you're sad, you need love, you need attention. I know what to do, and that's what my brain was doing. And it took Tyler kind of mapping that out to me and explaining that, like, hey, you're not like this self-centered like bitch because you are like doing this, you're not doing it on purpose, right? But this is where you're getting it from, and unless you like you can see that, we can't fix it, right? And so that's it was like basically destroying my ego. Like I really had to like swallow it hard, be like, okay, I'm just willing to admit that my subconscious is a jerk and that they're doing all the things I don't want them to in order to protect me, and we got to fix this. And yeah, so Tyler, I'm gonna let you chime in for just a second before I like totally go off like in left field with everything I'm saying.
You are good. I'm loving it so far. I was half listening and also making sure that the rest of our group members got their asses to the call. If you're watching the replay, your question's not getting answered because that's what's up. Be here. Anyway, I have one question.
Mm,
I got a bit covered that you talked a little bit about where you came from and all the crap you'd been through. How by
mm.
chance you went anyway into the health challenges or the other shit that you'd been through?
No, I haven't even talked about anything I've been through. I just said I had anxiety and depression, which is exactly what I did to
Okay,
you on
cool,
our
cool,
first
cool.
call.
No,
I
that's
didn't
what
say
I was
anything.
clarifying because I'm sending links to like the fucking universe. Okay. Um, no, you're right where you need to be. So, again, just getting you more on track. The challenges that you are facing outside of that, because a lot of women in this in the group program and also my private clients, on top of everyone on my social medias, is struggling with some kind of health challenge. Most, not all. And they've also been
Mm.
through some crap. Um, and so if you could explain just in as much detail or as little as you want about the challenges that you are facing, what you're feeling now, and then just a couple of the basics that you feel helped you most regarding the tools to change it.
Before I even like speak words, just thinking about what I'm about to say and talk about is making me teary-eyed. All right, so let's jump in. Um, I just want to start off by saying I'm in so much of a better place now. It really like brings tears to my eyes because I just think about everything in my everyday that I'm grateful for. my daughter walked up to me and gave me an early Mother's Day gift today, and I just bawled. And it's just like those little tiny things that I'm so grateful for because I was not in there was no risk of me being in any type of state where she couldn't approach me with that. And before, there would have been a risk where she could have not been able to approach me because I was having a moment. Right. And so just like little tiny things like that, I wake up every single day, and this is not an exaggeration, like thanking God for my life, grateful for everything that I have. Grateful that I don't have to suffer through like chronic anxiety. Now, don't get me wrong, I will never ever say that I don't ever experience feeling like anxious feelings because that's just a normal human thing, right? So I'm never going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm 100% anxiety free." Like I just happy all the time, everything's fine, hunky dory. That's not how we're meant to live our lives. So I do have anxious feelings. I literally texted Tyler about it last week. I said, I laughed about it. I'm like, man, I think I'm just like stressed out lately. I've been feeling anxious lately. He was like, interesting. Yeah, that's like totally normal. It's like part of a human, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's why I'm laughing about it. I was like, it's not fun. Like, believe me, it's not fun. I'm not laughing about the fact that I'm experiencing it, but it's like also haha funny because I can choose to walk away from it now. And I can also choose to understand that I'm a human and I'm allowed to sit in those feelings when I truly am feeling stress and having moments and trying to deal with something. So a little bit of background on me before, again, I get too off the rails. I do have a lot. I have a long history of health issues and conditions. My biggest shining star would be the fact that I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed a year and a half ago, but I was dealing with the symptoms of it progressively over the last 7 to 8 years. And doctors just like could not seem to diagnose it, figure out what was wrong. So I was just having seizures. I was having half body paralysis. There was a moment in my life where my husband was literally having to like help me walk, help me use the bathroom, help me pull my own pants on. Like it was not a fun season of our life because we couldn't figure out what was wrong. Every medication I was given was making my symptoms worse. And there was actually a time where my medication was so bad that I lost an entire year of my memory. It's gone. I will not get that back. I will not get that year of time with my daughter, my husband, and included in that year was our first trip to Disney. So it's not fun to look back on that, right? So I was really struggling with that. I finally got diagnosed. They tried to put me on treatment. The treatment wasn't working. It was really, really painful. It sucked. I was having to stab myself with needles multiple times a week and travel. We travel a lot, so I was having to travel with like a little cooler bag of needles. And then just painfully injecting myself and like hiding in a bathroom away from my kid and my nieces and my nephew when I was like injecting it was just not fun. Um, and then really like that's the biggest like health thing. Like everything was really falling under that. The seizures got really, really bad for a couple years and they were the worst when Tyler and I were like really getting close, like best friend wise. And so he's seen them. And they're not fun. I will say that I have been seizure free for almost a year now, at least I think. I'm not keeping complete track. um, and that's just really, really exciting. But yeah, when I say that, like, I was going through the dark ages, or at least it felt that way, I really, really felt like I was just living like hell on earth. And it was just it was just hard to live. And then I was running our business at the same time. I honestly don't know how I managed that. I'm completely honest. But dealing with those health issues and dealing with the fact that I was didn't know how to control my anxiety and my depression, and then the MS making it just feel that much worse, right? And for anybody that's dealing with chronic pain, I really do sympathize with you. It doesn't have to be MS. It doesn't have to be some crazy diagnosis. If anybody's dealing with chronic pain, it can really put you in some deep dark places some days when you're dealing with that heightened pain. Anybody who deals with chronic pain, and I know, and if you want to share, you can like raise your hand. There are days when it's so much worse, and you just want to crawl into a hole. You just want to crawl into a hole and curl up in a ball and just lay there and just go to sleep so the pain doesn't have to be there. Right. And I was dealing with that a lot at the same time that I was also just dealing with regular days of depression and anxiety. And I was just having panic attacks about everything. My husband and I would go work out, and I would just randomly get a panic attack about like, would just like imagine him dropping a weight on his face, and I would just go into a frenzied panic attack. Um, Being in the passenger side seat of a car when we were like driving up a mountain was a really big trigger for me. And I remember the first time we ever drove through the mountains after I worked with Tyler, I was completely fine. I remember texting him about it. And I was like, you won't believe what I just did. I sat in the passenger side seat while we were driving up a mountain. And it sounded so lame, but it was so cool for me. And I was like, I've never been able to do this before. And I was like, I just didn't even register that I was okay until like we were done driving. It was crazy. And I remember I just kept texting him and I was like, I can't believe like it's just gone. I can't believe that all of this pain I felt on top of like the physical pain. I said, it's gone. I don't have this extra like weight anymore. I kept calling it magical. It was just unfreaking believable. I really don't have words to explain it. Oh man, yeah. Again, I said this on the last training too I did for you, which was a while ago, that like when you get to that other side, it's just so magical. You don't feel like you need to be sad anymore. You don't feel like anxiety needs to be part of your life anymore. You can truly just sit gently in your life and just take in every second of joy that is just radiating from your day. My day is not 100% stress free, but every moment of my day when I look back on it at the end of the night feels like it was, because I'm not living in this chronic state of anxiety and depression. And it made me mad, but also so happy that it was so easy to get rid of. And if you're still struggling with that, I am not saying that as in like you are not doing enough or like you are too broken. That's not, believe me, you're not too broken. Like, I thought I was. And Tyler helped me. So it's, if you're still struggling, it's one thing. It's one thing that is holding you back. It's not a billion things. It's not because you're too broken. It's not because you're not good enough. I promise you, it's not because you're too much, right? Too much for Tyler to handle. It's like one little puzzle piece in your brain. As soon as it snaps into place, you're golden. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of like blind, like I call it blind faith, just blindly following along with the steps until that thing clicks, because that's what it was for me. And that thing for me was my ego, big time, 100%.
So I'm curious about this. I asked a couple of my private clients to be here, and they're the ones with the things off, which is totally fine because they're clearly listening in. So I'm glad that you guys made it because we're about to go into a Q&A in a little bit here. And after Christy and Allison get their chance, you guys will too. So I suggest that you stay for that. Because you guys can ask whatever questions you want. She will not be light if she chooses not to be. However, that's why we're best friends. No, but for real. So tell us, Cher, if you would.
Mm.
They know about all of the things that you know. Nobody on this particular call at this time is new. Anyone else who's watching the replay, they'll catch up quick. With all the tools that I taught, in your own words, what would you say are one to two of the things that you feel, be it strategies that I gave you to use, or just the tools I taught in general? What are one or two things that you feel like helped you through those darkest times, despite MS, despite past trauma?
I think you're going to ask me this, and I'm still slightly unprepared. Like, I know the answer. It's just really hard to explain it sometimes. But it's funny because I teach my daughter this all the time. Um, I think one of the biggest things that you taught me was just that I can choose, which is silly and simple and almost like too easy, right? But sometimes you feel like you don't get to choose when you have anxiety and depression, and I really do like understand that and resonate with that because that's how I used to feel. But like Tyler just teaching me, not just telling me, like, you can just choose, right? That doesn't help anybody. It's like, thanks, Tyler. Geez, that's awesome. Thank you. Um, but really like truly understanding in my being that I get to choose, and coming to terms with, and these two things, like these are probably my top two things, but they kind of come together as one, is I had to admit to myself that, and like really like take a hold of the fact that like I don't want to be anxious anymore. I don't want to be depressed anymore. And Tyler asked me this specific question because there was a time where I was like kind of butting heads with him a bit about it. And he straight up asked me, he was like, "Do you like want to be free of anxiety? Like, do you want to like get rid of this?" I said, "Yeah, man." He was like, "No, but like really think about it." He was like, "Do you not want to have this anymore? Like, this is gonna die. Are you gonna be okay with that not being the person that has anxiety anymore? Right? Are you gonna be okay with like everything that changes once you don't have anxiety anymore?" People don't think about that, right? When you don't have panic attacks anymore, my husband's not running to my aid anymore because he feels bad for me because I'm having a panic attack. When you don't have a panic attack anymore, right? You don't just get this like random forced sense of like, no one's bothering me, I don't have to do anything, like loss of responsibility. And again, I'm saying this on a very subconscious level, right? But you have to consciously understand that in order to kind of like break that in your brain, consciously understand, if I don't have anxiety anymore, these are the things I'm also not going to have, right? I'm not going to have my body forcing me to take a break. I'm not going to have my husband running to my aid. And that's like a big ego thing, like I was talking about. You have to be like, I have to admit this to myself that this is what anxiety is giving me, and I have to be okay with letting that go. And that was a big thing when Tyler was teaching me that you get to choose to get rid of this, but it's also going to get rid of these things too. And you have to be okay with that. There's like a sense of loss that comes with that. And Tyler always says that when you feel depressed, it's because there's a sense of loss, right? And so you have to be okay and choose to take that loss. And every time I was struggling with feelings of anxiety, I would convince myself, I would have a conversation with myself in my brain. I'm like, do you do you really want to feel this way right now? Like, would it be cooler if you were happy right now, or would it be cooler if you were sad and anxious right now? Right? Like, what would serve you the most in this moment? And I will be the first to admit there has been a handful of times over the last 2 years where I'm like, no, I'm going to sit and be anxious. That's what I want right now. And no one's going to bother me. And I'm just going to take my 10 minutes to be anxious because I feel like I deserve that. And then I'll take my 10 minutes and I'll go on with my day. Right. Because sometimes the last thing you want to do is jerk yourself out of like actually feeling something. And I think that's okay as long as you can sit there and feel it and be like, this is justified. Like I had something just really not fun happen 2 weeks ago with my daughter. And it was like really just hurt my heart. It was something to do with her health. And she's fine, by the way. She's totally fine. She's super healthy. But I got so instantaneously angry and frustrated about it that I did choose to sit in my frustration, and I did choose to sit in my anger because I was like, no, this is like a real thing. This is justified. I'm angry about this. This is not cool. This sucks. And I let myself be angry about it. Now I didn't go on a rampage and like tell everyone to F off and like have my husband like take the brunt of it, right? But I was like, I deserve to sit in this for 10 minutes and be angry and then go about my day. But most of the time, I'm like, would you rather be anxious right now, or would you rather go on your day and be productive? I'm like, I would actually rather go be productive, and I turn it off. Um, and that was one of the biggest things that helped me. Sorry, I'm rambling, Tyler. But that was one of the biggest things that helped me, was just telling myself in my brain, like when I start to be anxious and I'm like, oh no, I'm anxious. I'm like, stop, hold on. You get to choose. You want to be anxious, or do you want to go back to like baking cookies or whatever the heck you were doing? I do that a lot. That's not like a random thing. I bake a lot of cookies. But and then I'll just tell myself, I'm like, you like have time to do this right now. I'm like, no, you don't have time to do this right now. You have to go finish baking those cookies. Those things are gonna burn if you don't go get them, right? Or like if my I almost said my wife, my daughter. If my daughter is waiting on me, right? I'm like, she's waiting on you. You're really gonna keep her waiting so that you can sit here and be anxious? Like, what's more important right now? I could keep rambling on, but that was the biggest thing. The fact that I get to choose, and the letting go of the loss of what I lose when I lose anxiety, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
even for the people who have their cameras off, drop the word yes in the chat box if this is making sense, even at an intellectual level at the moment. There's one more thing I'm gonna ask Cher to go over because I think it's something that has always boggled my mind, but there's some things that a client of mine, I don't even like saying that. Who here at some point has realized that you feel more like family to me than a client? Honestly. Even for the like Negwa N12508. I know your name, but in case that's for privacy. Just like tell me in the comments or in the chat. Negwa said exactly. Because I fucking love you guys. Now, with that being said, there's there are moments that my family over time um, does something or experiences something that they never thought they would ever do, and it's not something that maybe I taught them, but maybe I did indirectly. But there's these moments that blow my mind that I couldn't have anticipated as your coach, is what I'm trying to say. And there's one moment that share that it'll always go down in the history of my stories. And I do it probably once a month. I talk about it on my stories because there's so many of them now because I'm such an awesome coach that there's just so many.
I'm excited to hear about this. I don't know what you're talking about.
But I will say, this woman was the first one to ever have a moment like this. I'm selling it hard, so you better live up to it. And watch, it's gonna be this little fucking thing. Because maybe I've blown it out of proportion. Anyway, um, when my business was first starting, I was still working Uber full time when when she started working with me. So like though my business and serving people like this has been going on for 8 years, it was never 8 years like full time. This was like a 3 to 4-ish brand new thing. With all that being said, Cher messaged me at one point, and I'll let her say the story. I'll just say my literal end of it, but I want you to go into the nuances if you can remember the moment. And if you can't, sorry guys, I sold it. Um, she messages me and says, I have something to tell you on our next session. And I'm like, ooh. Well, that's like hearing your wife or your husband tell you we need to talk. It wasn't that good. It was either really, really good or really, really fucking bad. So I was like, hope I don't lose a client. And anyway, she got on the call. She's like, this week I had a panic attack in my kitchen. I believe it was her kitchen. And she said, literally, in just a single moment, I just decided to stop panicking. And she's
Yeah,
like,
okay, I remember.
and for my person, it's just what she told me, and then she can go into it, and then we'll go into Q&A. But I want to hear the details, like everything, because I think everyone on here is going to get so much value out of this. It'll be insane. And she just basically, I remember her telling me that she felt almost like, how have I not been able to do this the whole fucking time? How did I not know this? Because it does happen in a moment when you do it. It really does. And then she felt angry at herself for having not done it for so long. But the reason I tell this story is because this is one of those stories that go down in my mind in my business of doing this for you guys. That it's one of those distinctive, like, this is clearly possible. Where, like, in the middle of however bad it is, or for some of you, when it just like looks like you're zoned out, like, whatever it looks like, is that you can just stop. And so this, I always get teary eyed when she explains this. So the mic's yours again, and then we'll go Q&A. Christy and Allison, we'll do Christy and Allison because you're part of the group, and then Negwa and 12508 if you choose to. You can even just write it in the chat box if you choose to. Go ahead.
Okay, so I do remember this, and I've told this story a couple times on different trainings, and it's actually like really short and simple and sweet, so it won't take too much time. I was in my kitchen, and Tyler and I had done a couple sessions already, and who knows what triggered it? Who cares, right? But I got anxious, and I mean, like full blown, not like I'm a little anxious, right? Like full blown, I got super anxious. No one was around. I think my husband was like in the next room working in our home office or whatever. My daughter was probably upstairs playing. Um, no one was around, and I started to get anxious. And I remember just like I think I literally like sat down on my kitchen floor, almost like I was just giving in, like giving up. And I sat down on my kitchen floor, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! Like, are you serious right now?" And I started getting anxious, and then I was like, I don't know. I maybe it like lasted maybe a minute, and I'm just like, I got real mad at myself, and I'm like, girl, are you kidding me right now? You don't have time for this. I mean, literally what I was telling you guys before. And I'm like, are we really gonna hire this coach to help you get rid of your anxiety? And he's trying to help you, and you're over here sitting on your kitchen floor being anxious. And I'm like, do you really have time for this right now? You have a whole day ahead of you. And I'm just like, no, I talk to myself a lot. This is just a fun fact about me. And I'm like, no, I don't have time for this right now. And I would answer myself back. I'm like, see, you don't have time for this right now. So what's our choices? You want to like keep sitting on the floor, or you want to just get up and go? And I'm just like, no, I think I'll just get up and go. And that was it. That was it. It was done. And then after I started walking around and like doing whatever I was doing again, I sat there for a second and then I got real angry and I'm just like, man, I'm bipolar today. Just kidding. But I just got really angry and I'm like, ugh, I could have been doing this for years. And I was like, that's really annoying. Like, it's really annoying that took me all this time. And I just like, just turned it off, just decided, like, I'm going to be anxious. And I was like, really mad that I didn't just decide before. But I mean, it's okay because I just didn't know how to do it before. Um, and I really want to like press that point home for you guys because like it is okay when you come to your revelation, if you have not already, or whatever you want to call it, your moment, your realization, like don't get mad at yourself, because you hired Tyler for a reason, you came here for a reason, you don't know how to do it on your own, and Tyler knows how to do it for you like that so that you can keep doing it yourself, right? And that one little realization, that moment in my kitchen, that one time, like changed everything because that is exactly how I handle it every single time now. I just, there's no fancy like, oh yeah, there's this 7-step process, and each time you have an anxiety attack, you have to do step 3, section B. Like, no, you just repeat the same exact thing every single time, and you're good. You need one tool, one thing. There's going to be one thing that works the best for you. Mine's talking to myself, and like you just repeat it over and over and over again. And I do the same thing with my daughter. I'm still trying to figure out what her thing is that will help her just on her own. We're getting there, but I do the same thing with my daughter, like just so we can snap out of it. Hers is laughing, so as long as I can get her to laugh, she's good. She's done, right? I just have to figure out how to get her to do it on her own. So we're still working on that part. But
I
yeah,
love that. I
okay,
love
I'm
that.
done.
And even though to some people that could sound like, oh wow, she just talked to herself, but not a very big moment. How many of you feel like if you did that slash could do that slash had that moment, it would be been life changing for you in those moments? 12508 Negwa included, right? So I just think this is so funny. Um, so here's what I want to do. Because Thursdays are dedicated to your Q&A based on what you went over this week, blah blah blah, and I would usually help you through it and all that. I want to make sure we stay on that theme and or asking Cher a question, but I would love, like, we will tag team this. I will let Cher do like 90% of all the answers because that's why she's here. But because she's someone who's been in your shoes, just like we did with Christy last week, um, ask your questions that you would have in your own life for you, not just based on how she did something, but like, hey, I'm going through this. This is my point of stuck. How would you help me? Like, what would you do in this situation? And Negwa and 12508, if you don't feel like opening your mic to speak and ask your question, I am begging you. I can't lift more bricks than you, but I am like, you're here for a reason. I really highly suggest that while Allison and Christy kind of say their piece and ask their question, write it in the chat box because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that you might hear the exact same fucking answers that I've been giving you, or you might hear something different because how many of us have ever heard our parents say something and we're like, yeah, then we hear it from someone else way later on and we're like, Mom, Dad, every one of us laughed there. Yeah, me included. I went up to them one time and I was like, I'm going to do this investment opportunity. They're like, duh. I was like, well, it sounded smarter out of their mouth. So it might sound smarter out of this blonde, beautiful woman's mouth because she can probably resonate with you guys more. With that said, Allison and or Christy take the mic, and then Negwa and 12508 ask in the chat if you'd like to, or open up your mic after.
I'm going to just jump in, share, and I don't have a question, mainly because I am so recently experiencing exactly what you described in Tyler's program. Like I'm having the same success you described. He got me out of driving anxiety in a moment after not driving for 2.5 years. I'm literally living everything you're describing. And I know exactly what you mean when you just come to this moment that has to be specific to you and you go, oh my God, that's it. And I now can choose. And I'm literally living that in my daily life. Like I can, and I, like you said, I can still have moments of stress that could lead to panic, but I
Mm.
can choose to stop it. I just want to also tell you, I'm so grateful for you being brave enough to share your story and put yourself out there because prior to joining the program, it was testimonies from people like you and specifically you and Sony that made me brave enough to be like, okay, these women, they radiate badass. They're just awesome women that are tired of, being in this position and they did something about it. So it does give people courage. I hope to be in a similar boat to give a testimony for Tyler as well, because it's like, you just don't know. People are out there struggling and we all have kind of daily stresses, but when it reaches a certain point and there's just this spillover where you're like, I'm done. I'm so done. That was what it took for me to come to this program. And it was such an instant change that now my whole life has opened up. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time and thank you for giving the testimony and thank you for being brave.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that a lot. I mean, every word that you said to me, I fully absorbed that in my heart, and I really do appreciate that. Um, I don't like being called brave, not because like I don't think that what you were saying and what you're feeling about me is true, but I really and I thank Tyler every day for giving me the platform to do this. I really do feel like that like I have been called to like do this for people and to just like that's why I'm an open book because people can learn from me. Like watch me fall on my face 10,000 times so that you can learn that you can also get back up when you fall on your face and you don't have to tell anybody about it. It's okay, I'll do it for you. Right? So that makes me so happy for you. I don't know the experience of not being able to drive and then being able to drive again in that standpoint, but I just know so deeply the experience of not being able to perform normal daily tasks and then being able to do them. It's just such an unbelievable feeling of freedom that you gain from that. And so that makes me so like try not to cry when I was listening to you. That makes me so I love hearing when people have those moments and they regain their freedom. It makes me so happy.
Thank
Sony's
you.
story is really, really good too. So like I know what you mean by that. Hers is amazing. So yeah, I'll stop rambling, but thank you.
I love this. Allison?
Yeah, Christy said it well. Really appreciate you being here today and sharing your story. It's really encouraging to hear from people who have gone through the program, and just hear how they're like still being successful and living their best lives. And yeah, it just inspires me to keep going on the journey. I guess one question that kind of popped into my brain as you were sharing a little bit about yourself, you mentioned your business and getting the Sunday night blues kind of thing. And so I was wondering if maybe you could just talk a little bit about how you handle work stress and maybe like any anxiety that kind of was like how you were able to kind of change your anxiety around business related topics.
Um, that's a really loaded question because I think it's a lot of small pieces that came together for me, and I don't mean that to sound like overwhelming. Because I personally hate when people are like, it was a lot of small things that added up. And I'm like, well, I don't have time for you to list all the small things that added up. I need answers right now. So I don't like telling that to other people. But my biggest thing, especially now, I'm just going to sound a little corny, is in every moment when I'm stressed about something or I'm having anxiety, before I before I even tell myself, like, okay, you get to choose to be stressed or anxious right now, before I even do that, especially now, I said, is it better to have faith that everything's going to be okay? Or is it better to believe that it's not going to? Right.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds so corny. It's like, how could that actually effectively help anybody? Right. But our brains control our bodies, people. I just want to remind you of that. Our brains control our bodies. When we are thinking negative things, when we are projecting failure and negativity in any future tense, a second from now, a minute from now, an hour from now, a day from now, a week from now, our brains are like, cool, this is what we're doing. Awesome. Oh my gosh. You're gonna bomb that meeting later? Okay, well, let me plan. Let me plan ahead. We're gonna do this. We're gonna bomb it. Right. And like I really do firmly believe that. And I have proved to myself that it is true that if I fantasize or romanticize like any type of negative thing, I'm basically like stamped it done. Like it's fulfilled. Like it's gonna be shitty because I just said it was shitty. Um, it's so weird for me to curse now, which is probably funny to Tyler because I used to curse a lot, but like I'm trying not to do it as much now. Um, but when it comes to like that work-life balance, again, because I was running like a six-figure coaching business where I was the head of our business. I was doing all of our social media, all of our client fulfillment. I mean, I was just doing everything at the same time, being a wife, being a mom, all of the things. I don't want to give you like a super tactical piece of advice because it's so unique to everyone, but I think this would probably be my best piece of advice. Just stop looking at other people. Like, just stop looking at other people. Stop being like, I wonder what this person's got a planner. That sounds so fun. Let me get a planner. I bet I could schedule out my day and block it off. Ugh. I did that for a year because like someone else did it, and I was like, that's the thing to do. I hated it. It made me so stressed. It made me want to throw up every day looking at my stupid planner. I think I burned it. It made me so angry. But just I just you need to sit with yourself and really decide what you want in life because sometimes we're stressed with our work life balance, not because we can't handle the amount of things that are in our day, right? But because we're doing things that we just don't need to or want to do, you know? And I'll be upfront. I ran my business for 4 years, and one day I decided I'm done. I don't want to run this business anymore. That's it. And I cut ties. And that was hard, don't get me wrong. And it's a process to shut down a business. You can't just like wake up and be like, I'm just going to close it down, right? There's too many wheels spinning. But look at your day and say, am I doing shit just to do shit? Right. And that's just adding to my pile, right? Am I just doing things to do things, or am I prioritizing the same thing as number one every single day? I'll tell you what, my kid is not number one every day. I'm sorry, but she doesn't need me to be number one every day. There are some days where she needs to be my number one priority. And there are some days where she is totally self-fulfilled and can handle her own crap and she doesn't need me. And I put something else in the number one spot, right? People think that like, oh, it's because it's your kid, it needs to be the number one priority at all times. Like you need to make sure that you're just 100% present with them all the time. That is not the case. I don't know if you have kids. This is just an example I'm using. But or your spouse, right? Your spouse doesn't need you 100% of the time, right? They don't. They are a human adult and they can self-fulfill, right? And so if they're just like hunky dory one day, leave them alone. Go do the other things you do. Go take care of yourself, right? Or if like you're the person that takes like cleaning your house is your number one priority. I did that for a while, right? It doesn't need to be my number one priority every day. Now it's my number one priority on Wednesdays. I don't know, right? Like, don't make the same things in the same order on your priority list every day. Like, every day you get to wake up and be like, I wonder what I'm going to focus on today. I wonder what's most important today, right? And if your kid is having a tantrum from the moment you wake up, it's like, they might need to be in one of those top spots, right? But if you wake up and your kid's just like, I'm good, I'm going to go play outside, which is what my daughter's been doing for the last couple hours, right? I'm just going to hang out with my friends. And I'm just like, cool, you literally don't need my attention. I'm not going to even like bother with that right now. And that sounds mean, but it's the truth. And so rambling again, but actually analyze your priorities on a day to day, even an hour to hour basis. Um, and just get rid of shit that you don't need, girl. I mean it. Clear your plate. Just get rid of those ugly vegetables that you don't want to eat and like focus on the stuff that you actually want to do and that's actually going to move you forward in life and stop throwing in stuff just because it looks cool, right? Work in silence, stop staring at other people and get rid of the shit you don't need. I hope that helped.
Yeah, well, actually, I think the very first thing you said actually was the most helpful. I think how you phrased it was like, am I gonna have faith that things go well today or not? So I liked that.
Okay, good. I'm glad. See, I didn't even need to ramble about the other stuff. There you
It's
go.
all good. It's all good.
It's almost like what we focus on in our mind creates the feelings. I love that though. So, I'm loving the next couple questions that come from 12508 Negwa. We're going to start with the first one from the first beautiful woman. I won't say 12508, it sounds so weird. But the first beautiful woman, I'm going to give context to this real quick. This woman is on the brink of her giant breakthrough when it comes to anxiety slash too anxious to go drive kind of thing. It's almost like Christy will be able to relate to this one too. Um, so I'm going to give context to it real quick. The question, as I'm sure you can read, is so the idea that when dealing with anxiety, the way that we do anxiety is by keeping calm while doing anxiety. I'm confused because I don't know how to keep calm while I'm doing anxiety. Before you two answer, and I would love to hear both of your perspectives, Cher and Christy, because again, this is within context to driving, I'm sure, but if it's not, and just in general, that's fine too, is the distinction that I want you to make, and I know that you're listening to me, whether you're looking at me or not, is the distinction that you need to make is that it's not that you are doing anxiety and feeling calm simultaneously. The only thing I will say, just for the distinction, then these beautiful ladies can take it and give you more answer to this. Every emotion that we are feeling started with something that we are doing. Let me explain this. In order to create feelings, there must be something that we thought about first and or did with our body first. I hope you're looking at me for this one because that silence wouldn't have made sense. So like tightening your stomach, breathing differently, or thinking about something that you're doing in your mind or body, something you're doing with those two creates the feeling of calmness or anxiety or anything else. So I just want to make the distinction. We're not feeling anxious and calm simultaneously. We are doing calmness or we are doing anxiety. I just wanted to clarify because you're so close, girl, to that like, and I'm excited. I just wanted to make sure that we made that distinction. So, Sharon Christie, give your piece.
I would love for Christy to go first because I'm curious what she has to say since she's
Yeah, newly driving.
Yeah.
So I did a call last week, and I don't know if that would be helpful for you to even go back and watch because I talked about exactly what the switch was for me. But it's essentially exactly what Tyler's saying. Like you go back to the triad that we learn about in this program, and you've got the physical piece of it, you've got the language piece, kind of like what I like to call the storyline, meaning what I'm playing in my mind is going to happen out on the road. And then Tyler, I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting this. They're gonna keep doing this. What's my other triad piece, guys? Focus. Thank you. So literally, short answer is you can't participate in the anxiety when or what you can't achieve calm when you are actively participating in the anxiety by doing these three things. And for me, it was the realization that my anxiety couldn't take place unless these things were happening. And so I would picture almost like you have two paths in the woods, and one is, for me, driving, when I wasn't anxious, and then one was driving full of anxiety, and I didn't take that path anymore. So, but in order to not take that path, I had to get out of what I was doing here to create the anxiety. Does that make sense? Like, you can't participate in feeling calm. At least for me, I couldn't feel calm and get in the car and drive. So when you get to a point at you're a private client of Tyler's, when you get to a point where you can shift via this into a positive state, laughter, neutrality, just peace, calm, a different feeling than anxiety, that's when you go drive. That's when you go out and you're like, okay, I'm laughing about something. I'm going to go for me, it was like, I'm going to go get my son from school. I'm going to go to the baseball games. I'm no longer going to depend on my husband to run all the errands and schlep the kids everywhere by himself. So I had a huge why. I mastered this, I think.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a little strong, but like I really feel like I got this piece down where I could see what I was doing. Yeah, but like, and then Tyler did some exercises with me to highlight this piece. So I just keep reiterating that, like, it's not wanting to go drive feeling anxious that's going to reiterate the neural pathway of panic and fear and anxiety and all those really, awful feelings. And who wants to drive like that? So I hope that's helpful. But it's
So
getting out of state.
I love that, and I think she's starting to pick it up. She asked a follow-up question, and then Nego, I promise we will get to your question, so just stay tuned. Um, the follow-up to that was, would you say that you felt anxious? Nope, nope, I read it wrong. Would you say that when you felt anxious, you would fake the calmness?
No, I didn't personally, I did not fake it. I shifted. So we're going different pathways now. We have the old pathway of anxiety, fear. My car is going to run off the road. I'm going to faint. I'm going to die. No one's safe with me. I'm a terrible person. My husband does everything. I'm lazy. And I'm just reiterating what was going on in my mind for 2.5 years. And then I went, okay, that's not true. I'm a great driver. I'm a good mom. I am capable. There's so many times I've been strong and I'm an overcomer. Um, and like Cher had touched on, my kind of love language, if you will, that got me out of these states was laughter. So I would focus on that. I'd laugh about something. I'd get into a strong state and I'd go this path. So I didn't fake anything. For me, it was shifting into this, avenue, this lane, and then driving from that state. Because I just don't, for me, I don't think I could have faked it. I would have gone right back into the anxious state. Like, I'm not confident, I'm not doing it right. Like, I just could not drive from that state.
I'm gonna ask you two hyper-specific questions on her behalf and potentially Negwa's as well, and then we'll go into hers.
Sure.
What did you, because I do know that for this woman who's asking the question right now, I do know that when I've asked her what she focuses on or thinks about as she goes to start driving, she's told me I think about the sensations. And I'm curious what the two hyper-specific questions are to overcome this and go driving from your perspective. What do you physically do with your body? And what do you personally think about as you go drive that
Yeah,
allows
I
you to?
want to Yeah, so I want to touch on the sensation piece. So I've been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and then I also struggled with long COVID, and the two kind of like wrecked me. And I very much similar to Cher came to this program with underlying health issues that I don't know, Cher, if you felt this, but like I convinced myself I couldn't drive and I wasn't going to be safe because of the health piece.
Yep.
I don't know if you're struggling with that specifically. So I'm just going to touch on, I feel like the word sensation refers to a bodily feeling that tells you you're unsafe to do XYZ. So I don't know if I'm correct in assuming that you feel that way, but if that's the case, how can you go drive if you feel like you're unsafe based on a sensation, right? So I had to break the mental association of being unsafe because of a health sensation. And I had to go, that's not true. There's millions of people that drive with Lyme disease. There's millions of people that drive with long COVID. Like, why am I the only person on planet Earth, or maybe there's a handful of us crazies out there that have decided that because of our Lyme, that's it. No more driving. Um, so for me, it was overcoming this very negative association that I had made that wasn't true. And then once I was able to do that, then I could shift very, I guess, more easily into the positive state. And Tyler, I think to segue into the second question, I just got in that strong state. I went back into my reference, my memory bank of like, when have you been strong? When have you overcome things that have scared you? When were you wrong about something? Like you've made associations before and they've been wrong. Kind of like Cher said, like off some of that, like, do I need to be right all the time, but yet I'm sitting in my bed and I'm not driving, but I'm right. I'm right about my health. I came to this program being like, Tyler, I've known it all for too long and it's gotten me nowhere. So you tell me and I'll do it and I'm not going to question it and I'm not going to, you know, um, micromanage every piece of it. I'm just going to do the work. I'm just going to show up. I'm just going to do the practices and I'm driving 100%. And I'm personally anxiety free in the car, have not had a panic attack, have not felt anxiety, have not had to turn around or go home. No one's had to rescue me. You name it, I did it before coming to this program in terms of like, maybe if my husband's in the car, maybe if he follows me, maybe if a friend comes, maybe I'll go down the street, like, did it all.
I love that. And I'm just going to comment one thing, and then we're going to go to Negwa's question. Thank you, Negwa, for being so patient with all this. I hope it's been valuable for all of you so far. I want to give that woman who's asking this question so much credit. And by the way, thank you, Christy. Is we did a call the other day in the same way with Monica, where had her focusing on the right thing, breathing, and just continuously doing those two things and staying present with what's happening in front of her, not going into her head. And she drove past the street that used to scare the crap out of her. She drove past the light that used to scare the crap out of her. She got onto the highway, and I won't show you out of her own privacy, but I secretly recorded it on my phone for her own reference, because I was like, girl, when you are like, oh, I can't do it, I'm going to be like, bitch, look.
Monica did this? Our Monica.
No, not yet. I mean, the same
Okay.
where we got her in the car. Monica,
Okay.
you're going to do it. You're going to do
Okay.
it.
I was
Just
like,
to be
what?
clear. But no, the woman who just asked the question there.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
so she passed all of the stuff, and the video evidence is just like she was crying. She's proud of herself, all those things. And the reason I bring this up is because you've done it once, which means you can do it. Everyone say it at the same time.
Again.
Now, here's what I will say as the last piece as your coach, then we'll go to Negwa's, is we had a moment, you know who I'm talking to, you who asked the question. We had a moment where you felt, even though you went past the light that had freaked you out the first time, but you got past it, you said, I'm going back because I don't want to disappoint myself. The only thing I want to say is that you're not always going to feel like that when you go driving or do any of these things. And so the one thing I want all of us on this call to hear me when I say, including those on the replay, is that if the belief that we have is I need to feel that good when I do the thing that was scary, or else I can't do it. In my opinion, that's unrealistic. That's not what my definition of lasting change is. It's like, can you do the thing and not have this crazy amount of fear? To me, that is lasting change. Because then your brain has a reference, you can do it again and again and again. But we just need to be in the right state of mind. And we can do it that fast as you have proved. So I appreciate the question. And Christy, you're a badass. Thank you so much. All right.
Sure.
Negwa's question is, and again, this is, I'm going to say Cher, give her the totem pole for this one. My question is, how do you make yourself go do anything that is anxiety provoking to you? Like, what makes you get rid of that fear? And anyone can chime in, by the way. I would just like Cher to give like the first piece as our guest.
Tyler, I think this is a good opportunity for us to bounce off of each other.
Okay.
Because I don't want to go too off the trail here with it. So what would you answer to that so that I can give my own personal kind of like spin off?
So my personal coaching hat on or off, my personal go-to with any of you and or for myself in my own personal life when anxiety slash what anxiety really is, fear comes up, is what I like to do is get very clear on what is the thought that I'm believing right now. Like, what am I believing is going to happen when I go do XYZ? Or if I'm already clear on what that is, what am I believing that that means to me? So if this thing goes so bad, okay, and what does that mean? Like, why is that going bad? Mean, like, why is this affecting me so much? But I don't go into a deep thing. I'll just ask, oh, like, I'm afraid right now. What is it that I'm believing right now? Like, what thought am I believing that's creating this? And I usually just quickly invalidate it, but not like CBT kind of thing. I will sincerely just, okay, but is that really true? Like, it might happen, but it might not. I won't know until I do the thing, but I'm not going to let fear control my life. Then I just radically change my state with my body. I know for you, Negwa, one thing that's worked a lot is changing the question you're asking yourself and the tone. For me personally, out of the three things that Christy talked about, that you all of us have talked about, for me personally, it's my body and just my focus. For you, it was your question. I like that. But just getting clear, what is the thought I'm believing? Change your focus by changing your question. Okay, well, how can I make this a really fun time? How can I do this and enjoy the process? How can I be smart about this in a way where I'm safe, but I still can enjoy myself and be present? That's just the route that I would go. Sure. And if you give a radically different answer than me, I'm cool with that. I think she could probably use both.
No,
I do know she
I
likes
knew I had like, go ahead. Sorry.
me.
We were talking over each other. I just want to make sure I didn't cut you off. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I was just saying that the both perspectives might be nice, but then I remember Negwa is a very tell me to do A, B, C, and I will go do it.
Okay. So I knew I had a good intuition of like wanting to hear what you said first because it's funny. I'm gonna echo a good bit of it with my own twist. So here we go. I have learned even since working with Tyler and moving through my own stuff because I like to share the wealth and help other people that are dealing with anxiety with what I've learned. Now, people aren't always willing to listen, and that's okay. I have a specific family member right now that is just so stubborn. She doesn't want to listen to it. She just puts her headphones on when I start talking. She's super fun to deal with. Um, but I have learned through helping my own clients in our fitness business because I was helping them too with anxiety. And just talking to other people, you all are unique humans. We all talk to ourselves a very specific way, right? Some of us talk to ourselves in a very mean tone, and that's like our baseline, that's like our foundation. We're like really mean to ourselves. We're just like, gosh, you're worthless, and we get angry with ourselves and we're just like, why did you do that? Right. And some of us are just very like sad when we talk to ourselves. We're just like, gosh, I can't believe I did that again. Everything's so terrible. Right. And some people talk to themselves like that. And other people talk to themselves and they're just like, gosh, you're just so awesome. You're so cool. Like, and blah, 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 blah. Right. Like we all talk to ourselves a different way. So if you are trying to talk to yourself the same way you usually do in order to quote unquote get yourself out of an anxiety attack, it is not going to work because the way that you continuously talk to yourself is the reason that you're in this cycle to begin with. I don't like using the word cycle. I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to get words out there that make sense. So, for example, I have a family member and she just has a heart of pure gold. And the way she talks to herself is very demeaning. She calls herself ugly and like fat, and she's not. She's beautiful and she's not fat, but she's just really mean to herself. And it's not like an angry thing. It's just like a very like I just don't like myself. Nothing I do is right. Nothing I ever do is the right thing. Like, and she's very heavy on like she's labeled herself as an anxious person. And she just like leans on that in a very like sympathetic way towards herself. I don't know how to explain that properly. It's just like very self-pitying, right? And so in order for her to move out of these feelings where I can't talk to her like that. I can't be like, it's okay, you're beautiful and everything's fine, right? I can't use that same like tone that she uses with herself. I have to get mad at her. That's the only thing that works. I have to yell at her. I have to be like, you're a freaking idiot. Stop acting this way. You know that's not true. And I have to get angry with her. Why? Because she's not ever angry with herself. She won't do it. Right. And so if you're using the same tone of voice all the time, like whatever's your trigger, right? If you're used to talking to yourself like, okay, we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be the thing, right? And you're just like, oh no, 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 I'm supposed to be convincing myself that this is okay. Okay, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be fine, right? Like if we're just repeating that pattern again, like I said, our brains and our bodies are attached. So if we're moving through, if your anxious mode is doing this, okay, I don't know if I can get into the car and drive right now. I don't know, right? But then the same thing, you do the same thing when you're trying to convince yourself that it's okay. Okay, everything's gonna be great. Everything's gonna
Pause.
be okay. That's Go ahead.
No, 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 no. Go right back into that stance and just go into the motion of it. 12508, look at what she's doing right now. Please, whatever you're doing, even if it's loud in your house, run out of the room for a second, look at what she's doing, and then share. Just re-explain from there. If you're doing that, go ahead. I want to make sure she's seeing, because I tried to explain to
Yeah.
her what she's doing with her body. You need to see this, 12508. Go ahead. Sorry.
So what I was saying is sometimes when we're trying to comfort ourselves or convince ourselves that something's going to be okay and we shouldn't be anxious about it, we're using the same body language that we did when we were getting anxious about it, right? So you get into the car and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can drive. I'm so anxious. Bad things are going to happen. X, Y, and Z is going to happen, right? And you're just like, hold on. I remember what Tyler taught me. I'm supposed to be positive about this and I'm supposed to talk about the things that are going to go great, right? So then you start doing this. Okay, we're gonna drive. Everything's gonna be awesome. Nothing bad's gonna happen. I'm gonna see a beautiful unicorn while I'm driving today, right? But you're still doing the same thing with your body. You're still talking to yourself in the same tone, right? Your body is speaking louder than the words that you are trying to convince yourself of, right? And so this was a big thing I had to learn too, because I couldn't just sit there and talk to myself the same way. I was very self-pitying, right? And almost like to an angry point. And I had to talk to myself in the opposite direction when I was moving myself out of that anxiety, right? So I had to be like very matter of fact, right? I had to be like, all right, Cherokee, like complete tone change. So I'm sitting here having anxiety on the kitchen floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this again. What's wrong with you? Why are you such an idiot? Like, why are you doing this, right? So this is my anxiety attack. So I had to be like, hands open, change the tone, matter of fact, Cherokee, girl, or Cher. I call myself Cherokee, but everyone else calls me Cher. I don't understand it. It's fine. But I'd be like, Cherokee, hold on a second, pause. Like almost like a business meeting. I have business meetings with myself. I'm like, pause, hold on a second. This doesn't make any sense. Hold on, what are we doing? Like, okay, do you want to do this or do you want to do you see how different my tone is in like the way my body is? I'm not sitting here like this, like, okay, okay, do you really want to be doing this right now? Do you really want to be having this anxiety attack right now? Like that's not helping. You doing the same thing with your body and talking in the same exacerbated tone that you were before is not moving you out of that, right? But if you can change, it doesn't just change it to something else, man. If you're used to doing this, change it to this. Like whatever you need to do. But you gotta change your body and your tone of voice at the same freaking time. You gotta talk to yourself different than the way you talk to yourself when you're having anxiety. Because if you're just trying to convince yourself that everything's okay while using that same sad, finicky tone, it's not going to work. And this is where my asshole is coming out a little bit. Not like my actual asshole, like my assholeness. Did I change your state? I got you. All right. So, right. But this is where it's coming out. Okay. Like you have to understand that you acting the same way and talking the same way is not going to work. And this is why I'm actively changing the way I'm talking during this training right now, because everyone needs to be talked to different. They need to talk to themselves differently. You guys are all different humans. And the way that Chrissy needs to talk to herself when she's trying to pull herself out of a moment is going to be different than the way Allison talks to herself when she needs to pull herself out of a moment. Because Christy and Allison are probably two very different people. And their foundation, their like home state of how they talk to each other, Christy might talk to herself very businesslike. And Allison might talk to herself very like feminine and very like flowy, right? It could be completely different. Do you think that they're going to handle their like moments different too? 1000 freaking percent, right? And so you almost have to be two different people here. I don't Be careful when I say that because you're beautiful. You're not two different people. You're you and you're awesome. But all right, Tyler, you can take over.
No, I think that's a perfect place to leave it. But what I will say before you get off, 12508, before you get off, I want to wrap what she set up with two specific things. And this does go to everybody, but I want to like say it to you and indirectly to everybody who's listening on this replay and on the call now. is I want everybody here, including you, to notice how deliberately Cherokee, I'm sorry, I don't know how the fuck I started.
No, Cher's fine.
Okay. um, no, I like calling people what they like to be called. Just you'll be a new best friend. This is where a chapter begins and unfolds. Just notice how physically she was using her body differently. So when I talk about change what you're doing with your body, I mean in the literal sense of like when you're anxious, are you doing this or are you going like this? Like, what do you actually like physically moving like in this like I don't know how else to say it too, but like the physically like what are you doing with the physical body? Now I bring this up for one reason, and how many raise your hand here if you have nothing but love for everybody who will watch this, who is watching it now. I just we all have love for each other. Raise your hand if that's true. Okay, we're all supportive because the next thing I'm going to say is going to be a hard ass piece as well. And she said me too. Perfect. So I want you to notice this. And everyone else here will probably notice their version of this when I bring this up. 12508 is very specific. What I told you on the call the other day to because you're like you might have been a little bit tense when you were driving home, but I said I want you to like reenact like what do you do when you're anxious? The second I asked you to do that, I want you to watch me. This is what you did with your body. And I'm only being so like matter of fact because I want you to see it because when you see it, you can stop it, but that'll lead to my second thing. You literally went like this. You're driving and you literally went, it was the most obvious thing. And this is not me making fun. That was physically, you literally, so you went from here, then you went back, this facial expression, and this was the physical movement, and you went back and forth a little bit. Now, I bring that up to say that if you physically went from this to, it would stop in a heartbeat. But that goes for everybody on the call. If you literally go from whatever the physical thing is to, or this to, yes, literally any just difference in your body, the state will change. But that leads me to the second thing. We so get disappointed with ourselves, and we have to draw the fucking line in the sand. Not everyone's going to appreciate my swearing, but we need to just talk about this. Because I've heard some people say over time, when I see them doing it, and I'm like, stop doing that. Like, just literally put your hands down, and they'll be like, and then they beat themselves up. Don't go from this to, just chill. Just be. And I know it's an awkward journey because whatever we're feeling, we believe it and we're immersed in that reality. And I get it. It's a weird thing to go from to. It's weird. But that's where we have to draw the line in the sand that says no fucking more. Like I see it. And I bring this up for one reason. Because 508, very specifically, you said to me, you're like, I know what I'm doing. And by the way, everyone on this call, raise your hand if you can relate to this either now or in the past. Where you said 12508, you said, I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't know. It's my thing. It's my habit. You said something like that. You're like, it's stupid. And you beat yourself up. But you said, I know what I'm doing. I can't stop. Literally just like, stop. It's so weird. Like Cher said, I might have been Christy, one of the two or both, but it said like the moment you turn it off, just will be the weirdest moment of your life and the most transformative. The moment you just turn it off, but that's where you have to draw the line in the sand. It's so easy for us to go from, I know exactly what, and we beat ourselves up for knowing what we're doing, but then we don't stop, so then we make ourselves angry. Just chill. Just be.
Can I add something really quick?
Yep, and then we'll hop off. Go ahead.
Yeah, sounds good. Guys, let yourself laugh at yourself. It is dumb. It is silly. It's funny. It's funny that we can literally freak out and just be like, okay, I'm done. Right? Like I used to do it in the mirror to like practice. Like I would like literally like, or if I started having an anxiety attack, I would make myself look at myself in the mirror. I'd be like, go ahead, look at what you're doing. Look at you. Right? I'd look at myself having an anxiety attack in the mirror and I would look at how silly I felt like I looked. I'm not saying you guys look silly, but like to me, I wanted to see how ridiculous I looked. I wanted to see myself doing this and be like, girl, stop. Right. And I would practice. I would literally be like do something super weird and watch myself do it in the mirror, and I would let myself laugh at how ridiculous I was being. Right. And again, I'm not saying that anxiety is ridiculous, but how funny it is that I could just be like, right. And like I would let myself laugh at it, and I would do it in the mirror so that when I was doing whatever I was doing and it happened for real, I could do something weird. My thing used to be like rainbows and unicorns, and I would say it just like that, and I'd be like, I would do that and it would make me laugh so hard, and I would let myself laugh. And also, when you catch yourself saying, well, that's just, I know I'm doing it, but that's just how I am. I want you to like audibly do what, like, I want you to make like a noise. Like what I used to do when I do that is I'd be like, oh, I know. I'd be like, stop that. Like that's what I would do. I'd be like, that's gross. Stop. Right? Whatever you need to do, like catch yourself saying it and be like, that's stupid. Right? And catch yourself saying it. It will make you laugh. It will stop you in your tracks. Like cut your own pattern. Like cut your own attention away. Be a squirrel. Be like, squirrel, right? Like whatever you need to do, don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be a complete psycho with yourself. Like it's okay, I promise. We're all weird.
It's so real. It's so real. And I love that you said, I'm going to say 12 for now on, just to cut out some numbers of this. You literally just said, literally was laughing when T was doing my anxiety. Because, girl, that's like to the T. And I'm now laughing with you. It was so funny. Now that you're not in that state and you're laughing, I'm going to tell you internally, I was laughing at/with you when you were doing that. Because to me, you guys got to think, right? Like as a coach who helps people with this, or just someone on the outside looking in, when you're trained like this, when you see someone, not just you 12, anyone, go like this, I just, I can't stop doing it. And it's like, well, then fucking stop. And because it's so clear right where they go. The amount of times where I've helped someone who's feeling suicidal in the same ways, you just interrupt their patterns in the same ways. There's a little bit more in depth, but not much more than this. And what I'll notice is, it's like, how's your day going? Good. Oh, they're in this great state. They're sincerely in a great state. I'm like, so why are you feeling depressed? Like, what's got you to the point of that? And they literally, guys, just notice this. It's so literal because even people who are suicidal are doing depression. And yes, this is on record. I don't give a shit. I've helped a lot of people who are suicidal. Where they'll do this. They'll be like, oh, I just, this and the other thing. I just don't know what to do. And then I make them laugh and they're like, and their body physically opens up and like our body, and just hear me now. It's not that the emotion makes our body do that. It's that we do that with our body and what we focus on, and it creates the emotion. It's a bass backward thing that we've been taught growing up. It's like, oh, they're not feeling like it right now. Or, oh, I'm not in the mood, sweetheart. We can all relate to that one. The point of the matter is you are doing your mood. You're doing your feelings. Now, that's not a very sensitive thing to say, especially in like a therapeutic setting, but fuck therapy. We're not here for therapy. We're here for results. Was that a helpful session for everybody? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you, Cher, so much for this. I appreciate you. We love you as always. And yeah, you guys have any other further questions, put them in the Facebook group. I'd be happy to do that, or WhatsApp for the people who are private.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye.